being very efficient in the use of all of our resources. That is what I see as one of the most key problems that I've seen in certain areas. To truly make a difference in Cocke County, you've got to have really good education. That's key. Education is what does make the difference. You've got to have enforcement. If you don't have enforcement, then you don't have the fear of accountability. You've got to have stiffer sentencing. But along with stiffer sentencing, you also have the problem of the jails being overcrowded. And that's something that I'll address. You've got to have rehabilitation. You've got to have community support. You know, it's a circle that takes these things to cycle. And you've got to be efficient in your education, your enforcement, your sentencing, your rehabilitation, and then return to society. You've got to be efficient in the use of all of your tools. That's what's going to fix the problem in Cocke County. And you know, and efficiency begins at the top. It doesn't begin at the bottom. Efficiency begins with the person that's in charge. Because if they run and they use all their resources very efficiently and use all their manpower to their best potential, then you're going to wind up having a trickle-down effect. And so that's what I think we really need to look at is, you know, education, efficiency, and accountability. Those things are so important. The reason why you guys are seeing so many people released back into the community for minor crimes, misdemeanor crimes, small crimes is because we have a state standard set that we have to keep our jail capacity at 90 people. Where do you put them? Because if you go way over that percentage, then what happens is the state's going to step in, they're going to force the county to build a large, huge facility, and the taxpayers won't be able to afford it. So what our judges are doing is they're trying to use all their resources, such as rehabilitation, probation, you know, and the use of other facilities, other counties, and they're sending inmates to other places in order to keep the numbers down. So part of our problem is where we're going to put them. Because then, of course, the state, you know, the state says it costs $25 a day to house an inmate. It's ridiculous. It should not cost that much to house an inmate. So what you've got to do is be efficient in what you have. One of the ideas that I have, and I've said this from the very beginning, is look out west. Go to Arizona. Go to Maricopa County, where Sheriff Joe Pyle works. What has he built? He's built an outdoor facility that houses 300-400 inmates. And his philosophy is, if our soldiers are good enough to live in a tent in the middle of Afghanistan for a year at a time, our inmates should be able to live in the same thing. So my idea is, let's go to Arizona. Let's go meet them. Let's look at this facility, and let's bring the ideas back here. So then all your misdemeanor drug charges, if someone, you know, is caught doing something, then what we can do is give stiffer penalties, house them longer, house them less expensively, house them more efficiently. But the thing is you've got to have the person willing to step up and say, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And of course, you have in our area, Arizona's dry, you have weather issues that are much better environments. You still have to look at the fact of needing and following state guidelines, federal guidelines, and all these other guidelines, because you cannot treat these inmates inhumanely, and I don't believe in that. But we have non-increment months, 6 months out of the year, that we can house people in large numbers if we build the right type of facility. So that's an idea. Then it runs into funding. Funding is honestly what drives everything. We don't have the money. We don't have the money to pass new laws. We don't have the money to house people. We don't have money to pay the officers to work. Well, that's something that we have to work together as a community and put our focus on. Is money and using those resources wisely. I'll give you a prime example. We have a drug fund in the county. The county has a drug fund, and that drug fund is supposed to be used specifically for drug enforcement, drug education, making purchases in the community for drug dealing and drug issues, buying equipment for the officers' training, and all these things. In the past, that money was used to buy vehicles. That's not efficient. People in the public should know this. We don't need to buy any 2 new cars. We need to be out here purchasing narcotics, building cases against these low-level dealers and these small dealers, using our new search team that we have, raiding these houses, taking their property away, making their life miserable. That's part of the key. That's enforcement. What people need is they need to understand that if I'm selling my prescription medication, the Cocke County Sheriff's Department and the Newport Police Department, they're going to wind up showing up in this SWAT van, keeping my door in, placing me in custody, and then taking my personal property. That doesn't happen here. Watch TV, reality TV. TV, watch cops, watch the television swamp, watch all these things. What are they doing? They're doing what is called proactive policing. Dealing with the issues, getting the issues head on. Being creative in their means of dealing with crime in their community. And that's what we've got to do. We've got to be efficient in all these things. We've got to be raiding these houses. But it goes back to manpower again. And so, when you hear, well, we have the TBI, the FBI, we have these other outside agencies. Well, you may have those agencies, but here's the thing. Those agencies are facing the same problems that we're facing. Manpower. They have more funding because most of them are federal agencies. But when they have one agent assigned to 10 counties, they can't do everything. The Drug Task Force, made up of Cocke, Jefferson, Granger, and Sevier, they have one officer from each of those areas, except for Cocke County. We've not had an officer from Cocke County from the Sheriff's Department over a year and a half in the Drug Task Force. Okay. So, yes, it's great to use outside resources, but the outside resources can't deal with the small-time dealer when they're working major cases other places, because they have to prioritize just like we do. Am I going to deal with so-and-so who is moving mass quantities of bills, or am I going to show up in Cocke County and deal with a small level deal? And what it comes down to, plain and simple, is if we don't clean our own house, we can't expect everyone else to clean our house for us. And that's what I've said from the beginning. We've got to do this. We've got to work together, and this is where it starts. And and part of the key is we've got to cut off the supply route. We've got to get legislation to cut down on people being allowed to go out of state to pay claims. Legislation is important. Look what it did when the state of Tennessee passed the laws on pseudoephedrine. The methamphetamine problem dropped drastically. Same way, we've got to get some good legislation. And basically, we have serious problems. If someone asks about the jail, why is there such a drug problem in the jail? Simply, the wrong leadership. When you turn in corrupt jailers that are selling or allowing narcotics into your jail, and those jailers are not being arrested or just fired or let go, there is a serious problem. We've done cell searches where we have found large amounts of pills, cell phones. A day later, search the same cell, all that stuff right back in there. So it comes down to efficiency and accountability. That's what we've got to have. And that's what people in the community have got to hold our community leaders to, is hold them accountable, hold us accountable, in using all the resources. A lot of people that aren't involved in the court system or the judicial system or law enforcement agencies, a lot of people don't realize what all is going on and what all is being done. But we do have a serious problem, and we do have some officers that are really trying to address this issue and this problem. And but it's very, very important for us to use our resources wisely, especially with our department as small as it is, as underfunded as it is, with all the things that are going on. You've got to have really good efficiency in that department, and everybody's got to pull their plates and make a difference. And so that's kind of what I have to say. All these things come to mind. And I get overburdened when I show up to work, take a transport to Lakeshore because someone's trying to kill themselves because they tried to use Opana and overdose. I get back, I go to a house, someone's medication's been stolen. As I finish leaving that house, I'm going down the road, my phone rings, and I have a woman crying and saying, what can I do? My daughter's hooked on pills. Within 2 hours' time, you're having X amount of things going on. We do have a problem. The problem is very evident, and we've got to do something about it. And so, in saying all this and summing it up, you've got to have efficiency, use of your funding, your resources, and accountability in your education, in enforcement, in your sentencing. Hold your circuit judges accountable, and hold your sessions judges accountable. Hold your chief of police and your sheriff accountable. And that's what we need.
Thank you.
May I say something?
Yes.
One thing I've noticed, for about a year, probably because an opportunity to get on the internet or watch TV, Channel 6, and I'm not trying to sell or ad for them, they did an excellent expose on the problem. And I've told several people since then, you get a copy of that, and everywhere you see the city of Knoxville, strike that out, put it in Newport. When you're done with it, strike that out and take it to Greenville. And when they're done with it, tell them to strike it out, take it to Raleigh. We have the same problem that everybody around us has. And one thing that they had faith-based, and I see we have several members of the clergy here tonight, and they also had financially based or government-based drug rehabs. We have got to come up with a system of education with our children before they start using it. And an example I use, I had an uncle pass away a few months ago, almost a year ago now, and the argument wasn't over Mamaw's guns or the quilts. The argument was over the pills that he had been medicated with. And I had the good fortune